Haven't seen that one before. How is it that this cleaner gets stuck in the air doing nothing? How is it that this cleaner is hanging? What are all three of them doing up here? Back for Blood has a lot of bugs that need to get fixed, so let's talk about them. Here's a list of 30 that I've been keeping track of since before the June update. I know many of you here are just here for campaigns, so we're just going to look at the campaign ones first. Two of them, thankfully, have been fixed. Mom and Walker, those were fixed in the June update, so I'm going to knock them off right now. And then we'll just go through these. You've probably seen the impact column here in this chart with different color codes, black being critical, red major, yellow minor, and green trivial. What do those mean? So first of all, critical means anything that just wrecks the game. Either Back for Blood just is a severely terrible experience or it wrecks the game balance. Major are those where you can still play, but it has a major impact. Minor, significant match imbalances, but there are some workarounds. And trivial are just little bugs that don't matter so much. Also, please note, almost every clip here is from Swarm. I just don't play campaign. The first big bug here are dead hangs, and these are two different categories, either where the cleaners get pulled or positioned where their teammates just cannot get to them whatsoever, or else where they're hanging, even though it doesn't seem like they should hang there, they're not going to take any fall damage. So looking at this first clip here, I'm an exploder, and I blow up, and Doc there grabs right at the edge of the trailer. I don't know why she's not going to die from incapping there. Here's a common spot with the Shredder. This is player Grape. You can check out his channel, and getting caught up in the tree there. Similar spot on Abandoned, although this one's a little weird. The cleaner got pulled up by the Shredder and then hangs right off the ground. So I guess maybe he was supposed to grab hold near the roof, which also shouldn't happen. The cleaners should just either have a let go option or just fall and be incapped, not position themselves where they can't be saved. Here, for instance, why does he grab there? And likewise, up on the roof of the Abandoned, grabs where no one can possibly save Holly. Similar thing here on Harold's the Worm gas station. Again, top of the sign, no way to save that cleaner. It's just dumb. Different angle, same place. Pain Train is a particularly great map for the Shredder. The cleaners can get down, but they need to know where. And this one tries to go down in the wrong place and just ends up hanging. Again, cannot be saved. You need a let go option. This spot on Resurgence, just like one of the much earlier clips, Carly, despite being at full life, had gotten stuck right on the bridge. Looking here again at Pain Train, just hours after the Jude patch went live, and the Shredder gets the pull right up here in the air on top of the bridge.
That didn't take long.
Now switching to the very first clip, Frozen, the Shredder is pulling Carly, grabs Carly, and then the Crusher gets her. Now watch, the Crusher is going to get shot right here. Freeze again. Look, Carly is falling with the dead Crusher. The Shredder is making another pull. Gets one to hang instantly. The other one is up on top of the bridge. Now look, red Carly right there at the bottom of the bridge. Now look at her up right now. Teleported back up. We got one stuck in the air, one hanging on the bridge, and one who's gotten downed on top of the bridge. And sometimes the Shredder or Exploder isn't even involved. Here's a tall boy about to hit Carly right there, who's still green health. Gets hit, drops to yellow health, and then grabs hold of the edge of the building right there. So to recap, dead hangs result in the loss of a cleaner, usually because they're in a position where no other cleaner can get to them, or they just grab where they can be saved, but where they shouldn't have needed to be grabbed at all. They should have just fallen and taken no or very minimal damage. Compounding this problem is the next bug, which is that if someone is hanging and they fall, you cannot defib them at all. They're dead. The defib says cannot use item. While this may only be a small problem in Recruit, Veteran, and Nightmare, since you can get the cleaner back at the next closet or cocoon, very much affects No Hope and Swarm, because there, if someone cannot be defibbed, they are gone for the rest of the round or map, and you are down 1/4 of your health and firepower.
I think his hitbox is up here for his res. Want me to pull you back up here? Yeah.
And as you can see from the dates, that last clip was before the June update, and this clip is from after the June update.
Natural causes.
Yeah.
Cannot use item.
Try up here. Your name is here though.
Both actually are telling me that I cannot use the item.
To summarize, defibs just do not work if someone is hanging, which is why it's important, number one, that cleaners don't grab hold in bad places, 2, there's a lot of buttons on the controller. Almost all of them are unmapped when you're hanging. Just give us one that says let go, then wherever we fall, that's on us. And 3, make defibs work afterward, just in case. Next bug is when a special, usually a Rika class, gets stuck inside some geometry. So for example, on full auto here, you can see level 99 wizard getting stuck underneath the forklift.
And I'm now stuck.
Where did you get stuck? Oh, okay. I've never seen that spot before.
Yeah, I can't get out now. Specs.
So he switches to exploder and detonates. And here on Herald's the Worm, I get stuck as I spawn in by trying to hop, and I get inside the roof.
Hey, it's Will. Anybody want it?
Here on Hell's Bells, Black Kirby gets stuck underneath the semi-trailer.
Oh,
I
I've never seen that
have to
spot.
go further.
Did you walk in there, or did you walk in there or spawn in there?
I tried to hop over it.
Okay.
Yeah.
This results in a special possibly being unable to spawn or unable to move at all until the cleaners come and save them. Picking an exploder can let you detonate and get back into the game, but maybe you've already spawned in as something else. In that case, you just are stuck until the cleaners come and get rid of you. And here's another bug, and that is what we're calling the armor exploit, and that is that if you knock the armor off of something, you can then shoot that armor piece on the ground, and it'll do damage to whatever the armor had been on beforehand. Here's a clip from example Shadow Witch. I'll link to his channel. And then likewise, this is player World 61 with a shotgun, kills the tallboy by shooting its armor. Civils and Bits did just give me this video that seems to show that this is fixed in campaign, but we've not been able to verify it in Swarm. It's almost never relevant in Swarm because we just don't see a lot of armor plates knocked off. Except for the Armored Common, we just don't see the armor upgrades purchased off it until late in round 2, and there just aren't a lot of 3-round matches. And even with the armor unlocked, most cleaners then just shoot for damage rather than at the armor. Another small bug that worked fine right until the June update was when you draw your cards out of the intel boxes, you used to be able to count by looking at it how many cards are left. Here's before,
It's fine.
and here's after.
It'll be on go.
Just grab it.
Okay.
Okay, does everyone have your card?
In no way a game-breaking bug, but it is a distraction in the heat of battle to have to ask, hey, did everyone get your cards? Next up is something far more serious. So the Shredder was already strong before the June update, but I don't know what happened. Somehow the Shredder, as well as the rest of the Rika classes, became much more strong. It looks like the slow stacks now don't have a limit. Like, the cleaners seem to be able to get hit with multiple stacks of pus slow. So you can see here, we got Evangelo, and he's got a speed build, I know that player, and he cannot get away from my pus at all. Likewise here, I'm doing some testing with a friend of mine and hit him with the charge as well as some slaps. And he kills me, he's stuck in the pus a little bit, and just absolutely cannot get out of the pus.
Holy damn.
I still can't run. Now I can.
Same thing
Can't
from
sprint
his view.
anymore, like at all. See, like I can't move. I can't even run.
Oh, holy damn.
I still can't run. Now I can.
So not sure what's going on here. This does happen from other Reekers as well, but the Shredder is particularly worse because each frenzy attack that hits the cleaner does seem to apply a brand new pus slow, taking off speed every time. So if you get hit by 3 or 4 of those, you're basically immobile. He had complained that it had completely negated his entire ability to sprint. And on the subject of sprinting, sometimes, we don't know why, you just can't sprint anymore. In this clip, it seems to stop right when I can grab the toolkit off the wall, and the way to fix it is to drop your weapon and pick it back up. And when this happens, I check, and I'm definitely not carrying something that has the walking stick attachment that disables sprint.
Cherry and I.
You can see right now, for instance, that I am unable to sprint. I just hadn't noticed yet.
No ads card.
Yeah. The only thing was
I can't sprint. What the fuck? Do I have the walking?
Well,
No, I don't.
It has begun. It has begun.
I told you.
Then by dropping my weapon and picking it up, I can sprint again. This is just a minor issue, but it is annoying the first time. Another small issue is that very rarely your medical item, particularly pills, seems to not disappear even with no Heng on the team. So you can see the count here is still 2 because he's just pulled the pills out, and then it briefly goes down to 1 for this next frame, and then is back up to 2 before he uses it more. I'm going to replay that whole clip again at real time, and you can hear 3 distinct pill sounds. That's an incredibly rare, questionably useful bug that happens. Next, though, is a quite significant exploit that I hear some campaign people take for granted and use all the time: drop reloading. It's particularly frustrating to see in Swarm for a couple of reasons. First, because you can reload LMGs and AA-12s in almost no time, much faster than waiting for the animation, avoiding those weapons' downsides. And secondly, it partially negates the pus handling slow Reeker Utility 4 upgrade that the Ridden team spent 400 mutation points on. As a general baseline, the M249 saw is here in Fort Hope, and it has a reload time of basically 6.5 seconds. I'm timing frame by frame from right when it changes from 1 round remaining down to 0 until once it's full, expending that first round. And then you can see here just how much faster it is in real gameplay. I've not done this a lot. I'm not great at it. There are people who are going to be much, much faster at it, but I'm beating the real reload time by quite a bit.
Nope, not there.
Bottom of the hill.
It's over by the crusher.
Right here, hurry.
Yes.
We got
Where?
I got you. No, you fucking dirty slut. Open it.
It's alright.
Okay,
I got it just in time. Just in time. We're all good. We got our card. I can die
I
happy.
didn't get the other one.
Oh well.
Fucking
That
get
sounds
out of
like-
here. Shit, can I get it?
So Turtle Rock, yes, please fix this. There will be complainers, just like people complained about the Belgian and the TAC being removed from Power Swap working for them, but it will make for a much better game, especially Swarm, because then the pus handling slow upgrade will work always against the cleaners. Here's another one, the I died bug, where everybody on the team is dead or downed or captured, and that sounds like the end, but it shouldn't be. You should be able to, if you're downed or if you have breakout, escape. But the game doesn't seem to let you do that. It just flat out kills you. Here, for instance, which I've frozen, Hoffman's about to be downed, and Charisse still has 2 lives remaining, while Holly is being dragged away by a stalker. With Hoffman now down, then as Charisse's life bar reaches 0, instead of being end-capped, she flat out dies. If Holly had been nearby, Charisse and Hoffman may have been able to free her by shooting the stalker, and Holly could have then revived them both. Similarly, here I am Holly, Evangelo is knocked down, followed by Mom, Doc is being held by a crusher, and soon we'll have breakout. I have 2 lives remaining, but am killed instantly by reaching HP 0.
Oh crap. Might have breakout a little bit.
I have been told that this has ended quite a few campaign runs, and it definitely can be a problem in Swarm as well. Looking for the next bug, the Stalker seems to conduct friendly fire, not damage, but a stun, stopping some of the other mutations from being able to complete their actions. In this clip, for instance, I'm a tallboy, and my slam is interrupted by the Stalker pouncing on the same target. Definitely not a huge deal, but it is yet another thing keeping people from playing Stalker in Swarm. So that does it for all the bugs that also appear in campaign mode, and I thank you all for watching these with me. The remainder of this video will focus on bugs that do not appear in campaign, that just appear in Swarm mode. There are quite a few of them, and I'll walk you through those just as well. Starting first here with, most importantly, the dead game bug. This usually means a 3-on-4 game, but it can happen anytime there's not an equal number of players on both sides. 2-on-2 works, 3-on-3 works, but anything other than those, and obviously full 4-on-4, you're just going to be back to lobby. The way this works, you've been searching for a game, maybe just for a few seconds, or maybe 20 or more minutes. The game says reserving server, you load in, and as always, to check the rosters and look for names, press tab or some controller button, I don't know, and see there's a missing player, not even player connecting, ... Congratulations, your time is being wasted, and you can't leave game because the warning appears that then you'd be getting the leaver penalty. So you either have to wait for the entire card pick timer to expire and scavenge to begin, or it will end sooner if either someone quits and they take the leader penalty, or all the cleaners pick their decks and cards and hit ready. Once any of these happen, you're dropped back to Fort Hope lobby, and you have to hit OK on this screen and begin searching again for another few seconds or 20 more minutes. Why doesn't it just find another player right away? As you can see here, if none of those other shortcuts happen and you have to wait out the entire timer and you're in a party, then 2 minutes, 14 seconds roughly have to pass before you can even begin searching again. So if you're searching for 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and then you have to wait another 2 just to get back, the game can very easily lose you a lot of time. Here's an example of what it looks like if somebody on the other team does take the lever penalty. Sucks to be them, but at least everybody else can leave game and get back faster. I don't have the full clip, but you'll see that 1 minute 2 seconds passes from reserving server until we leave game, so it'll be another 15 seconds or so before we can search again. In this final clip, you can see that we are cleaners first, which gives us the control to pick our cleaners and cards and hit ready fast and get back quicker. My party member wasn't able to load in as quickly as I was, and he wasn't familiar with it being, as you can see, a 2 versus 4 game, and what that meant, that he would need to pick everything fast so that we could return. So it was a bit slow. And then we do need to still hit OK on this screen, just as always, and being able to search. There are a lot of reasons more people are playing campaign instead of swarm. This is definitely, in my mind, one of the biggest ones, because as you can see, the chance when you search for a game and you find a game that it's actually going to start to go into and beyond scavenge into the action, it's only 3/4 of the time. 16% of the time, somebody fails to load in, they crashed a desktop or got TRS sign-in error or something, and they can't get in, ever. So it's 3 on 4, 4 on 2, whatever, and you have to wait to get back to Fort Hope so you can start searching again. In 7% of found matches, somebody quits immediately. You saw the game was 4 on 4, but somebody drops before the first scavenge. So everybody again dumps to lobby. I don't know why they quit, but they took the lever penalty and everyone has to search again. So on average, from the over 1,000 times I've searched for public games since April 15th, whenever we get either 4 on 3 start, 4 on 2 start, or someone leaves immediately, we have to wait 2 minutes and more before we can be searching again. Let's think for a moment about what this bug means to our fun to waiting ratio, or whether a player is likely to continue with a return to a gamer mode. Of all my public matches since the June update that started, got into and beyond the first scavenge period, some games were 5 minutes and some were 35 minutes. 16 minutes is the average. Search times vary as well, especially across regions. Since the June update, my average search time was 2.5 minutes, but I understand that's atypical. I often am in a party with players from multiple regions in order to minimize search time. So to keep the estimation simple, I'll assume 4 minutes of searching to find each 16-minute match, or 20 minutes per game. 4 minutes of searching and 16 minutes in-game. If someone wants to play 20 matches per week, that would mean 320 minutes of in-game time, or 5 hours 20 minutes. Plus 80 minutes, or 1 hour 20, searching, for a total of 6 hours 40 minutes. That seems like an appropriate amount of screen time over a few weekend nights or a weekend of entertainment. But we know that only 3/4 of games found actually start. So with 15 games that start, of those 20 found, and 5 that players have to wait for to end, and then we can search again, that only takes 5.5 hours, so the player has time to search for 4 more games, only 3 of which will start. In the end, for every nearly 7 hours of trying to play Swarm, 28% of that time is spent either searching or waiting to return to Fort Hope to be able to search for the next game. In that 7 hours, you had 18 games start, 6 cancel, and almost 2 hours of searching. No wonder some of these players stick to campaign. They even earn skull totems there. A good portion, but not all of the waiting for canceled games could be eliminated by not returning players to lobby for lack of players. That doesn't mean starting games 4 on 3. Ideally, the matchmaker would continue to run while a team picks their cleaners, and then it would halt the game just before the first scavenge begins until a found player has had an opportunity to load and pick. This could be as little as another 20 or 40 seconds, but maybe longer. That would solve both the 4 versus 3 bug and players quitting immediately. Currently, if either someone quits or fails to load, those 4 on 3 games means 2 minutes 15 seconds returning to Fort Hope, then searching for another 4 minutes, or 2.5 in my experience. That's the game spending roughly 5 minutes of 7 players' time to find an 8th player. If instead the action were delayed, even for up to a few minutes, that would save players time and a lot of frustration. What's easier? Returning everyone and searching for another 8 players, or having 7 players ready, pick the cards, and just finding 1 more? That shouldn't take 5 or so minutes, like starting all over and searching for 8 does. If player replacement were implemented instead of auto-returning to lobby, that 1/4 of attempted games failing largely disappears. 3% failure instead of 26% failure would mean many more players and much less search time, which would mean the overall in-game time nearly reaching that 80-20 ideal of 16-minute games for every 4 minutes of search. But what else would that mean? A lot more people satisfied with PvP because a quarter of their games aren't canceling means a lot more people trying out and staying and playing PvP. A lot more people playing PvP means a much faster search. I'm currently averaging 2.5 minutes, so perhaps with enough swarmers, everyone could have an average search time of 1.5 minutes. If that can be achieved, That means 16-minute matches and 90 seconds of searching, with a few rare failures, meaning at least 90% of PvP time is actually spent playing. Put in some skull totems, and then a good portion of B4B players may care a great deal more to enjoy Swarm. So I'd like to see this fixed or improved before anything else, because I want to see way more people playing Swarm. Next up are a series of selection bugs, meaning you can't pick the mutations that you want when playing Ridden. That's where just one player rather than two can select that family's mutations. And in the same clip, we're going to show you the blocked class bug, or what we're calling selection bug 2, where no player can select a particular mutation. So as you can see here, we're just loading into playing Ridden, and nobody has selected any Reaker classes. You can see on the 2 bars there. The Wretch is blocked off. Don't know why. Somebody picks the Stalker. Somebody picks some Reaker class other than the Wretch. Somebody picks a Tallboy, and I pick an Urchin. Now you can see from the selections that we have a Shredder and a Tallboy, but nobody has taken the Wretch. So only one person has taken the Reaker classes rather than 2. I was blocked from selecting a Reaker, and the Wretch was completely unavailable. That's both of those bugs. Selection bug 3, or the swap bug, was actually the first one that everyone found out, so maybe it should be selection bug 1. But what happens here is you're just playing usually a Tallboy or a Bruiser, possibly a Wretch, and you die, and when you go in to spawn the next time, you're something else. Usually you've been swapped from Wretch to Exploder, Wretch to Reaker, Tallboy to Bruiser, Bruiser to Tallboy, and you didn't click that. Unfortunately, it just doesn't seem to happen to me. So I have friends who seem to have it happen a lot, but I've maybe had it happen 2 or 3 times, and I do not have a clip. The final selection bug is double class, which replicates how the game used to work before the Tunnels of Terror DLC, where 2 people can select the same class. Now it's supposed to be restricted so that no 2 players can be the same class. Sometimes the game screws up either in the middle of the round or at the beginning of the round, and lets it happen anyway. Here, for instance, I'm spawning in initially as an Exploder for this and my next spawn, and then before my third, I'll be toggling around between the different Reaker classes. The game will somehow get confused, and I'll be able to select the Shredder, even though a teammate has already selected it, thus giving us 2 Shredders. That's an example of the game getting confused during the middle of the round. As I said, they can also get confused at the beginning. In this clip, for instance, you can see Toxic Tinfoil toggling between the different Reakers and being able to select the Shredder, giving that party 2 Shredders. Similarly, right at the very beginning of the round here, the game believes someone has picked the Wretch, but the Shredder has been chosen, letting the POV pick the Shredder as well, so that there are 2. Because of this bug, occasionally you can get some old school games, such as this round, where a majority of our time was spent with 2 Wretches and 2 Hockers. All of these selection bugs are quite detrimental to the game, especially being able to select 2 of the same class, because there's supposed to be parity between teams, and oftentimes these, as well as some other bugs in this list, only occur to one team rather than both. Moving on, whereas the selection bugs are largely out of our control, the Bomb Squad exploit, on the other hand, is something that players have absolute control over, because they can simply not put Bomb Squad in their decks. First of all, in this bug, I'm going to show you how it is that Bomb Squad, even though it's been removed from the card pool, can get played into a game, and then I've got a later bug number showing how it is that you can still build a deck today with Bomb Squad. Here I am using an intel box to pull Bomb Squad out. It's now a team effect card, and Bomb Squad still retains its electricity visual, so if anyone on the cleaner side has it, everyone can see. Pulling it out of a box like this is the only way to get Bomb Squad active in a game. You cannot draw it, or any of the other removed cards, at the beginning of a round. There you can see the electric effect, and again. Here I am pulling combat training out of this intel box because it was in this deck, even though it had been removed from the searchable PvP card pool long ago. So while Bomb Squad isn't as powerful in PvP as it used to be, now it's a team effect, and it's not supposed to be there at all. Another exploit players in Swarm can do, and this one is on the Ridden side, is to look at the inventories of the cleaners. The trick is to just not pick a class. Here, for instance, I'm looking at Sharice's items. She has got 1 stun gun, a couple grenades. Heng has a toolkit, nothing special for guns. And Doc is holding a pimped out tack and a Barrett, but nothing else. This exploit is easy to spot, however, for the Ridden team. The cleaners can't tell, because the Ridden will not show any icon in the bottom left team UI if they have not selected a class yet. Returning now to things out of a player's control, Ridden players, when they first appear at the beginning of the map or after they die, their ghosts will appear where they cannot escape. This can lead to that team being permanently down a player for the rest of the round if they don't know how to select an exploder and detonate.
Right.
Put me behind an invisible wall.
Nice. Where
I
are
can't
you?
go anywhere.
What?
That is amazing.
Okay, but you can jump. As far as I can remember, this has been an issue with PvP since the beta, and I really hope it can get fixed soon. One thing that does look like it has been fixed are that right when the Tunnels of Terror DLC came out, in Swarm we had this bizarre effect where we would be bumping up and down on locations, and people told me that's where the Hive entrances are, and if we dropped things, we couldn't pick them up anymore. It looks like this has been fixed. I haven't checked all the locations, but it seems probably good now. One bug introduced by the Tunnels of Terror DLC that has not been fixed, though, is that now anytime a Hocker or Stalker dies, that location becomes impassable for 10 seconds by the cleaners.
Hocker next. Still blocked, still blocked, still blocked, still blocked, still blocked, still blocked, still blocked. Still blocked. Tell me your timer.
4 seconds.
Alright, cannot walk through. Also still cannot walk through.
It's an interesting bug, of course, and possibly exploitable. A team could use a Hocker or Stalker in order to block a doorway right before the swarm comes in or something similar, but that would be wasting a spawn generally. A larger aggravation is that the unbolting options are very finicky in Swarm. There's two problems that occur. The first one is that there just aren't any unbolting buttons at all. This usually occurs starting even in round 1. If you do have the unbolting option, it's kind of a press your luck mechanic because you probably want to search for weapons and attachments in round 2 for better attachments, but if you've gotten decent attachments in round 1, you probably don't want to risk running into the second bug, the 250 bug, which reduces in round 2 or 3 your 1000 starter copper to 250. If that happens, the teams need to pool the resources. Both of these bugs are very unfair because they can happen to just one team and not the other. Next, I'll show you how easy it is to access the removed cards and old versions of cards using the PvP starter decks in order to create new decks with them. This can lead to having near duplicates of some cards such as antibiotic ointment and smelling salts. So it's unclear how much of an advantage these will give you. Bomb Squad is still pretty good. It doesn't double the power, but an extra 25% for the whole team can be great, especially if more than one person is running this. Combat training no one will ever use. Smelling salts and antibiotic ointment, though, could be quite powerful if used well. So hopefully they're removed, not only from the default decks, but also it'd be great if TRS went through and scrubbed player decks and removed all the individual copies as well. A weird one, a new bug introduced by the June update, is this no catch-up cards remaining screen. I was actually a little excited because occasionally you'll get disconnected in round 1 and you'll come back in round 2 or 3 and you'll only get 5 cards. You'll pick a new cleaner as if you hadn't been connected and you just get the 5 cards. So I was hoping catch-up cards would let you pick more, but I'm not sure if that's what's going on. This screen shows up even on round 1, so it obviously has no place there. Something else that shouldn't be in Swarm, these 5 attachments. Why? They all give +% bullet stumble. Can you stumble in mutations in Swarm? Nope, not with these. So take them out. Just remove them from the loot table, please. Do you remember how when Heng's abilities were teased and everyone said, "Oh, that sounds terrible for Swarm, especially that first one"? Well, they changed Heng's first ability. Now he can see where cards are, but he can't see where the cards are in Swarm. So somewhere in the data, they gotta flip a variable so that he can see the Swarm card boxes as well. Thanks to Sibbles and Bits for this campaign video. I'm gonna link to his channel. You can see in the Swarm clip here that, yes, there is an outline while playing Heng, but it's from the same distance as every other cleaner. No perk.
Okay.
I've been playing a lot of Heng and Swarm. He's a lot of fun, so it would be nice to get this fixed. Next up is the one way that you can stumble things in Swarm. Sometimes. It seems to only work on tallboy classes, which is odd. It would be great if it would work the very first shot on all the mutations. That way, as rare as this attachment is, people would get some good use out of it using it in ads. As you can see in the clip there, the stumble on the crusher frees him. So you might be wondering, is stumble strong in PvP? Yes, yes it is. Is it too strong to have staring contest? We don't know. Staring contest only stumbles each special one time with its first shot. Even if all 4 cleaners had staring contest, each special could only be stumbled once. Is that strong? We don't know yet. And you can see from the bugginess here that it doesn't seem to have any effect on either Reaker classes or Hocker classes. If staring contest were removed from PvP, that'd be fine, but it may be more interesting to have it work against all specials. So thank you very much for following me on this tour of bugginess. There's a lot that needs to be fixed. If enough of these get fixed, a lot of the critical ones, then we can turn Swarm especially into a far more competitive mode, get a lot more players on there. Take a look, here's a review of all the bugs, and here are all the bug reports. Please go and upvote them. Warner Brothers, the publisher, only keeps bug reports open as long as people are voting for them. If a bug report doesn't get some number of votes, then they get closed with no action. So please go and upvote for the bugs.